It's going to be great. Hey, everyone. We are live. How fun is that? Happy Saturday. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Woo!
Woohoo! I have Instagram live, but we are creating as protest. Joy is our liberation, and we're not performing. How y'all doing today, friends?
Feeling artistic
Yeah.
and joyful.
Yeah.
Joyful.
What's something that's bringing you joy today? Maybe we can go around and
Ooh.
share something that's bringing you joy today.
Centering agreements. You go first, Maisha.
Well, first of all, I just need a second because I'm multitasking. And so someone please go first.
Okay, I'll go first. What's bringing me joy today is the fact that I was able to do some training with my dog. My dog is a pit bull and being pit bully, and I did some training with him, and he actually started getting very good at doing sit and started being less bad on the leash. So I would like to be able to walk my dog instead of having him drag me across the ground, which he has done, and actually injured my knee one time because he literally knocked me over. So that's something that's bringing me joy, is my dog is having a little bit of behavior progress, because we need that when you have a pit bull.
That's awesome.
And he's only a year old and weighs 40 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
He's just pure muscle. He's so thick.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
My dogs do the same thing. I've also started to do something similar with the leash training and the having them be outside because they think they run the house.
Yeah. I have to tell the dogs, you're not the boss of this house. I'm the boss. And of course now they're stepping on my stickers. Go away. Stop stepping on my stickers.
Just want to announce to everyone who's watching on Instagram, who you came in late, this is creative liberation. This is our protest. We are not out protesting. We are out being creative in different parts of the country and creating things, because creating is the pathway to liberation. So thank you, Cameron, for sharing your joy. My joy was actually Saturday school and making slides that incorporate the new branding.
Ooh.
The slides were pretty dope. They'll get better because it was really fun using like the graphics that I'm not going to say publicly yet to gamify the work.
Ooh.
Yeah. How about who'd like to go next? Popcorn.
I will go. What brought me joy this morning was I'm in New Jersey, and I attended a virtual voter registration training, and it was really cool because there was like 50 or more people on the call, different age ranges and backgrounds, and it was really brought me a lot of joy and connection to see that more people are getting involved. And I'm excited that with the training I'll be able to go into communities and like help people directly. So being joyful doing the work.
I love it.
My joy, I mean, it started on my drive into work today. I like had the windows down and was dancing to good music, and it was just I'm really noticing the stark difference between my like current situation, which I have 3 jobs. There's like a stress and a busyness, and yet I'm loving what I'm doing and the people that I get to be around. As opposed to like 6 months ago, I had just a single job and it felt like it was running me into the ground. And so just like very aware of how, I don't know, like grateful for the room for joy, even like while stressed and busy doing things.
It's crazy how that like fulfillment brings you so much energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Huge difference.
Yeah, joy today. What there's I feel like okay, this is kind of almost embarrassing to admit, but I don't play. I'm a huge gamer. I play tons of like role-playing games, tabletop games, physical card games, but never been an online gamer or a video game really. But I've like found this app, and it's taking over any of my like minute small amounts of time that I dig around on it, and it's like so wildly rich and there's tons of like interaction with other players, and I'm like bringing all this like liberation language that clearly there. Whoa! I'm like, it's wild. It's wild. And
What's the app? What is it? What kind of games?
I'm not advertising to them right now while we stream. How fucking know? It's like I don't even know what they call these. Like, it's not worker placement. There's like battling involved. Like, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Cool. Okay.
But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's bringing me joy. I admit, it's bringing me joy.
Well, today, just to give y'all a reminder, all y'all who are watching live or the replay, there are millions of people out in the streets protesting, performing their activism. And yay, if you were in Choice for Your Life and you chose to go out there, amazing. I love to hear that's how you're taking action. But I'm just curious, all y'all who are here on this call, like right now, we're not protesting, we're creating. I'm making beads and bracelets, and we're all just creating our own thing. So why y'all not protesting today? Like, why did you choose to opt out?
Well, for me personally, it just felt like different groups here locally were like co-opting the other events that were going on at the same time, that were standing up for different types of causes on the same day. And the main organization has invited the cops to basically be security for the protest. And that makes me really uncomfortable as a person who was arrested protesting in the past, and makes me feel like the protest would be unsafe for me or my kids to attend due to their choices in that way. But another thing is I do think that a lot of this is very performative, in the sense that most of these people definitely weren't out during a lot of the BLM protests. They weren't out standing up for Black rights when we have other types of events, like events about immigration rights or labor rights. A lot of them aren't showing up to those types of events. So I've kind of just felt a little bit uncomfortable in my local community showing up to different events, because you'll see, if there's like an abortion rights event, we're not getting the same types of people showing up to something like that. And this is very marketed and very branded and like sponsored by like all of these billion-dollar nonprofits. And, to me, it just seems a little bit more on the performative side of things, rather than, people who actually want to do boots on the ground work and really, take care of their communities.
I love that. Thanks for sharing, Cameron.
And so I'm making stickers instead.
Yay.
I love that.
I'm not protesting because my ancestors had to sit my Black ass down. This ain't my fight.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not. And honestly, like, if I were to keep it real with everyone, like, when you go to those folks' website, I almost want to pull up their website, but I'm creating. Like, just when you go to their website, it is so sensationalized. Like, just the picture of Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and we're reclaiming our democracy, and like using the color red and yellow and green. Like we as a people, like, we don't even know when we're being marketed at, when we're like the target. And I just feel like this was such a performance. Like, it talks about nonviolence, but there's no definition of nonviolence. Like, it's
there's also not really like an explanation of what they're like protesting or like what to do. Like, when I first went to the website, I was like, awesome, but like what are we doing? Like, it just said hands off, and I'm like, hands off what? Like, what are we doing? Like, it was very like visual, highly marketed, and I guess ultimately whitewashed, right? Like, it was just made like real pretty and branded and sponsored, and like yeah.
It makes me think of like I don't know, you get like DEI boards that are full of usually like white women being like, why? like, okay, we're doing like, oh, we're doing the things. Why isn't anyone showing up? Like we have this table set up for Black women. Why aren't they here? We want them here. And it's like
We baked croissants. We have baked goods here. We're all set up. Like
it's without thinking about any of the other, any of the context, right? It's like, okay, where's the context for what you're doing? And I don't mean to speak about this as a third party. I'm obviously a white woman. Like, what are we doing? How are we thinking about this? How are we seeing this? Because I can walk in and talking about, I think Kimmer mentioned like safety and all. Mm-hmm. Like thinking about the safety of this. I think this is something like you can register for the protest. Mm-hmm. So you're like putting all of your information into a
list.
Oh,
a list that the government can get at any time, and then there's people who are literally being arrested because they've been to protest in the past. Like, doesn't seem very safe.
No. I think somebody yesterday, I don't know if it was yesterday, Jen, I think you're on that call we had in our community where someone was like, those are a lot of liberal, left-leaning Democrat organizations. And I feel like the comment was like, this is almost like a Democratic sponsored, like, show up and let's reclaim our power from Donald Trump.
If I was going to answer the question that you asked,
go back.
Like, why am I not doing it? Is based on what you said of like they don't even define nonviolence. Like worse than that. Like if you look at the little blurb, is a core principle behind all hands-off events is a commitment to nonviolent action.
Website.
We expect all participants to seek to de-escalate any potential confrontation with those who disagree with our values and to act lawfully at these events. Weapons of any kind, including those legally permitted, should not be brought to events, which that's fine. That little bit. Okay, great. But it's like the fact that it is rooted entirely in defining nonviolence as that, as act legally. Like what?
Yeah, so if someone is trying to assault me, I'm not supposed to assault them. Or you know what I mean? Like I had a man throw me into oncoming traffic one time at a protest, and I wasn't supposed to stand up for myself. Like,
well, and I feel like
nonviolent. Like
here's the little reminder from the Friendly Nonviolent Communication Guide: is emotional manipulation is not the same as being motivated into sustainable action.
Oh shit!
And that is what Maisha is. I'll probably do a little video on that because that we kind of talked about. That's what we were digging into. Is the whole effort of this is to manipulate you into an emotional response, not to motivate you into any kind of sustainable action.
Jen, will you say that first piece again? That flowed, just the first piece of what you said. The emotional manipulation.
Oh, just that you being manipulated into an emotional response is not the same as being motivated into a sustainable action. Is that what you're asking me to repeat?
Yeah. I just wanted to hear it again because I was like, ooh, that. I just needed to sink that in a little bit too.
I mean, ironically, that's literally the purpose of marketing, right? Is to evoke some sort of emotion for someone to take action. And just for full transparency, you all know, but I was that white woman that signed up and gave the government my information because I originally signed up to attend this. And I guess just for larger context, I mean, I understand how attending something like this, especially for people newer to the work, is a good way to like meet like-minded people, learn, a little bit about the process. That's kind of like what it was for me, like learning about how all this works. So I was originally signed up because I was like, I'm in a very red area. So I was like, let's meet like-minded people and like build a community. But yeah, through the work with CYP and just learning more about activism and true protesting in general, I, now see how this is, again, very performative. So I am I understand it, like that's if attending this is what you need to do to make that first step into the work, great. But yeah, I'm excited to do real boots on the ground, grassroots work. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you. I hear you, Melissa. Like it's interesting that you said like this is the first step for people like integrated into the work. But that's like my thing is like This is not about integrating the work. This is that kind of, I talk about the great white crash out. This is that last little bit of like, I'm losing my power. So you were marketed with fear. So when you go to a website and look at this, the first thing on the website is these two guys, the guys. I'm going to call them the guys because I'm a black woman. I can't say what white folks say because I'm a black woman. Mm-hmm. So you go to this website and you see these two guys, right? That's going to really piss y'all off because those are the two guys that are taking away the rights of all of us. But if you really think about this, and I'm not trying to get a teacher on, I'm going to stop sharing. If we get like real clear, y'all, like my grandmother was in her 50s, late 40s when the Civil Rights Act passed. My mother had civil rights, quote unquote. And then I'm the first woman in my family to experience civil rights, right? So knowing my history, like, oh, okay, they coming in doing all this. I know how to I know how to survive. Like But like I'm watching all these folks not recognizing like you're actually just grieving because you're losing your privilege and you've never had to. Mm-hmm. Now you've never had to face not having privilege. Mm-hmm. So never having to face not having privilege, and then you have your big bad wolves. You were targeted. This is a form of, you're right, manipulation and target. White people are being targeted, and it has nothing to do with liberation work. And I think that's the other piece. Is like, just because you're on a political journey doesn't mean you're about liberation. Mm. Like you could be all for politics, right? You could be all for wanting to, change democracy and voter registration. But if you are not talking about the liberation journey that I no longer call anti-racism with intention, what are we doing? So that's why I invited you friends to let's play. Let's get online and talk and play and create.
I'm attempting to create, but this grizzly bear is real rough right now. He's real sad.
Okay, hold on. I can tell that it is a grizzly bear, and I think it looks great.
Brenna, thank you so much. He looks terrified.
I mean, that's fair. He can.
That's fair. Yeah, this is how we're all feeling a little bit sometimes. It's fine. It's our inner grizzly bear, terrified grizzly bear.
Someone, Jen, on Instagram said that that you are a gamer, and they're preparing today to host a TTRPG session. They're preparing to host this session tomorrow, and they've made a point to invite BIPOC people who are interested to play and make them feel welcome.
Love it. Yeah, tabletop role-playing games. That's what that stands for. For anyone who's struggling to understand.
Tabletop role play. You guys know the training I just did, so my mind just went somewhere. We're not going to talk about that. Tabletop role play.
Yeah, and for people who are not in our community yet, it's been a minute, but I had guided as a story. I prefer the term storyteller because Dungeon Master is language I want to get away from. But yeah, yeah, the whole master thing is whatever. So I had led, and we had, consent checklists. We had I forget what the lines and veils is a term that a lot of people use. So it's like, whatever your perception of what a liberation focused community does, we play Dungeons and Dragons sometimes. Like that's what we do. We have fun. It's not just direct action. It's not. I want to
play D&D so badly. I've wanted to learn. It just seems so fun.
It's totally fun.
Awesome.
Super fun.
I think I'm going to make a blue bracelet now.
Yes.
It's the white one. I really feel the call. D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, so I've never played it, but I'm always curious about it. Like, is there a storyline? Is it?
Yeah. There's a lot to say, and so we'll go way off the rails here real quick.
You look so excited,
and help me out, chat. I don't even know where you're seeing the chat, but if there's people who want to comment on how I describe this, please correct me. But the concept is there's a world that either you have built as a storyteller or there are existing modules you can purchase. You don't have to create it all, but you can. And then there are people, the players. So like, let's say we're all playing D&D right now. So you're all player characters and you choose what kind of character you want to be, whether that's a wizard or a bard or whatever. And you choose a race, and whether that's dwarf or halfling or elf or any of these other things. And I actually think there's a new word they're trying to use rather than race, which I think is great. And there's the other different things that can mitigate how you change your character, right? So let's say Melissa's an elven bard, and Kimra is a dwarven warrior, and Maisha is a orc barbarian, and Brenna is there's lots of options, and Brenna is some
wait, I gotta pause you. wait. I have to do a liberation correction.
Yeah.
Let's not use barbarian when we describe our Black friends, even though because the context of Black men being called barbaric,
yes,
during Jim Crow.
It's a perfect thing, and these are the kind of conversations that we would have sometimes in the games that we're playing, where we're trying to bring a liberation focus. That the class is called barbarian; it's not a choice by me. But you're right; those are the moments where it's like, this is a line and veil. Like, we're not going to go there because that's just going to trigger stuff that, unless we're going to use the game itself to unpack some of that, because sometimes that's an avenue of like, we're literally talking about that in the game as our characters.
Yeah.
So anyway, whatever, we're all these different characters, and then there are NPCs, which are non-player characters. So that's up to me as a storyteller to create all the other people who live in the world and you interact with. And so maybe there's a storyline. You're going to excavate some dungeon and free some princess, and then that opens up another storyline. Well, actually, the princess is doing something in this realm, and there's a legion of people she's trying to change. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not doing a great job here, but it's like, it can be absolutely anything, and it could be years long campaigns, or it could be a one shot you do in one game. Like, you don't have to invest in the long thing if you don't want to. It can just be a short thing. So it's hard to describe in a really concise way where people really understand. And the mechanics of the game is you're rolling dice to determine what happens. So there's just enough role play in terms of like, you decide where the story goes, but then there's also the dice roll. So you can make a decision of where you want it to go. But if you roll low on the dice, sorry, it's not what's happening. So it's a blend of creation and causation, I guess. Is that the right application here? So I don't know. I will love.
How do you launch a storyline, or how do you start a campaign?
Like I said, you could either build the world yourself, build some storyline, something which
and is that up to the storyteller? Or you all like collectively get together and you're like, I want to be these people?
Great question. You can all decide. It could be you could all be players to say, hey man, we're ready to show up. Tell us what's going on. Or there could be what you call a session zero, and maybe we establish some things together, especially through that consent and lines and veils and all that. Like, the subject of torture, not on the table. We don't go there because whoever has a barrier about that, or I don't want to bring in social political ideas into this because maybe we have tension in the group around that outside of the game, or we want to bring that element because we're trying to find creative ways to explore this, kind of like the way Maisha and I do role play and direct compassionate communication sessions. It's the same ideas. We're just playing. It's just come up with stuff. And so either that can be as a group and collaboratively or not. And whether the DM sets up or the storyteller sets up the story entirely themselves, the players constantly have impact on the world. So you're constantly helping create the story together.
This is really cool. Like, I'm listening to this and I'm like getting all types of ideas.
Oh, baby. I've had so many. I was.
You have no idea. Someone said, why does this sound like Goosebumps with dice?
And it's like, there's also many different kinds of tabletop role-playing games. It's not just D&D. There's also cyberpunk. So you have a more sci-fi kind of attitude, or there's Shadowrun and all these old, like, werewolf and vampire, and like, in old gamers will know what I'm talking about. So it's like, it doesn't have to be the classic high fantasy dragons and fairies and unicorns and all that kind of stuff if you don't want it to be. And there's even more. There's Star Wars, and people have created their own. Like, this is a huge, huge opportunity for so much creation and play. And it's been a beautiful resource for the trans community to explore identities in a safe way back in the 80s. So like I've been playing this since the 80s, where it wasn't safe to be out in whatever way we were queer. It was ways for us to explore our identities in a safe container. It was play pretend. It was really meaningful.
Like, I want to do something like this in the community, not until next year. Where get better at that. Something where like we like, let's pretend you're a liberated person and turn it into a game. And I don't know, Jen, is this a thing? Like, let's pretend you're liberated and you come in the community once a week and we do act. I don't know. It's just, there's something about the imagination in that where people can see the possibility of their own liberation and the connection to being liberated with others.
Wow, that's an exciting sound. What is that?
Someone's phone ringing.
Oh.
I
Well,
don't
I'm
know.
dealing with a Dremel, so I'm going on mute so you don't hear that.
Yeah. For those who are like logging in, this is our creative protest. We're not on the ground. We are together in community. It's what we practice here at Heal Your Way Forward / Check Your Privilege. We practice being in community even when it's hard. So if you're out there protesting, be safe. Which I'm sure you will be when I looked at the rules. Be safe. And find something that you can do to kind of decompress from your day. I'm here with members of the collective teams. This is Team CYP. This is the Faces of Coolness. And you're always welcome to join us in our community, our Co-Conspirators Collective. Like literally, we hang out kind of like this and talk about liberation. So for those of you who are like, oh my God, Maisha T. Hill has this community and it's all about her. No, the hell it's not. You will be surprised. Who's even making that?
It's just the way you said it. You'll be surprised. It needed a little laugh behind it.
It felt like Despicable Me. That's what came up when you laughed. Oh man!
It did feel like a little minion going hee 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 hee.
Oh man!
All right, I've drilled holes in the bottom. I can't tell if I might want more, but
That's great. May I ask, or maybe like pose the question, like what does or what's the importance or role of creativity in this work?
Oh, ooh, we're getting good.
Let's do it.
Yeah, because part of the role of colonization, imperialism, capitalism, white supremacy, and ableism, the goal of that is to really destroy the imagination of the people and to make us artificial. Like I've been on this artificial intelligence for a while. Like we are socialized to not think, to not feel, to not create, to not play. Like they take that from us so that we can uphold their system. And I think when you think of revolution and you think of the old school protests that I used to be a part of, that's why there was so much play and music and dancing and jubilee, because we knew that we needed to, as Bell Hooks says in teaching critical thinking, we cannot create what we can't imagine. So we're all saying that we're here for collective liberation, right? But we're still just doing the same things that we've done over and over again. Go to protest. Like it's boring. Like there's no life. So it's, I'm doing the artist way now. I'm in week 5. I'm in the week of finding possibilities, and that's connected to imagination. And so if we're not actively pursuing play and imagination in this work, like we are literally just doing it because it's the right thing to do. Anyone can do anything because it's the right thing to do. You know what I'm saying? But like, can you do it where you're actively creating community, where you're actively creating mutuality and reciprocity, where you're actually like creating things like together. Like that is what revolution is. It is the act of creating through the chaos, because chaos is actually transmutive. And I don't think, oh shit, a lot of people don't recognize the transmutive power of the chaos of this moment that we're living in. This moment, yeah, we can go out there and fight, or we can do what we're doing and gather in community and have dialogue and create and play and, you know, really imagine. Like we're literally, as Zoe would say, we're living the world we want to imagine. Right? Where you got this Black woman on here with don't want to tell your business, with a Latina and 3 white women just conversing over the reality of the fucking world and keeping it real. Like you don't see that much because people, you know, want to put me on a pedestal and think that they can't be in relationship with me. And I think that's kind of like the part about creativity. Creativity allows you to imagine, what does it look like to be in a relationship with a Black woman or a Mexican woman or a white woman? Creativity will get us there faster than trying to learn these word salad words to say to each other as if we all don't know what the system is. So creativity has a huge role in the work and the role that we all have to do to heal ourselves up and be as a collective, like being in the system but not of it.
Even hearing you say that, it kind of like reminds me of how creativity is like related to empathy, right? It leads to empathy. Like you're imagining, you're putting yourself in other people's shoes, and you're imagining, you know, potential scenarios and people and what would happen. And I'm sure that's part of why they are, you know, dismantling and censoring art and institutions, because it is removing that empathy and that imagination.
Yeah. Well, when you think about like in schools, how like art is always the first thing that's defunded when it comes to any schools, is because they don't see the value in creativity. And like you said, creativity leads to that empathy. It leads to the imagination of what we can do more and make our world better. And they don't want us like that. They want us to be just a bunch of like robot drones who just work and for their billion-dollar corporations. And that's really all they want us to be. But they don't even like having people on staff who are creative. Like people who are creative on staff, they'll fire people just because they find out the person has art as a hobby. You know, like creativity has always been, you know, kind of like pushed down. And like my mother is an artist, and seeing her struggle as an artist for so many years, you know, and people just not valuing the work that someone is doing as an artist or a creative. Like that's, you know, that bleeds through all of society. Like every aspect of society, people always are like, oh, you're an artist. Like that's nothing, you know, like it's not a thing, you know? And look at music and how music brings people together. I mean, like I went to a concert last night, and it's just like the amount of people that were there and just feeling how passionate they were and connected they were to each other. Like, music brings people together. They don't want us to be brought together. They want the opposite, because they know when we have community that we're strong.
And that's a really good point about how it's like the first thing removed from schools, because even hearing that, like art class requires students to think for themselves, right? Art is also critical thinking and analysis at the same time, right? It empowers someone to have a voice and to share an idea. And so, yeah, they want to kind of stifle that spark immediately. So people don't think and share and feel like they have a voice. And I think creativity is also linked to abundance, right? Like if you're in a scarcity headspace, you're not going to be creating. Yeah.
That's a really good point you just made. And my little torch just came out the box and it doesn't work.
What is it?
So sometimes when I make bracelets, I like to take my little torch. Oh, there's no liquid in it. And burn the edges. So it's a hand torch for sealing. I'll just use super glue. Gosh, what did you just say? Abundance. That's something that, so for Saturday school in the fall, like, because I taught Saturday school, we're on ableism this semester. I really want to talk about money. Ooh, what is it called? Like Mia Koshton talks about money. I can't think of what the word is.
I don't know, like the idea
money
of like
economies, giving economies.
Oh, like a gift economy?
Gift economies, right? And so when I heard you say like abundance, it's like they need us to be in scarcity. They need us to feel like there's nothing, that they're taking everything. There's no possibility for more, and so I have to protect the little bit of mine that I have left.
And
right?
that we have to be dependent on them.
Yeah, and we can't take risks. Yeah,
we can't take risks. And one of the things I love, like we gotta finish ableism. Just thinking about like gift economies and what we think about money and abundance is, if we were to all do this work and think about it from the lens of abundance, like the more we show up for each other, the more we care for each other, the more that we give a little extra more, the more that we sit in gratitude with each other, like that's something that we don't talk about. Like we don't recognize how we keep each other in the scarcity mindset that the system already has us in. So I'm glad that you mentioned the word abundance, because that's sitting with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really brings to mind, I like just previous conversations and talking about like, oh yeah, I mean, about our community, about communities in general, when like folks I'm in community with elsewhere are talking about, like things that they need or losing hope. And it's like, I feel like creativity is when hope, I don't know, gets like put into action, because there's like an empty hope that's like, oh, I hope this thing happens, and then we don't do anything about it. I feel like talking about like the protest, I know we've talked about like, okay, what happens after that? We can't just like hope that they see us and or that they see us and change, right? It's like we have to get creative. Let's use our imagination and like lean into the hope this can exist, and what are we going to do about it? And like the fact that these things can exist even if like I or someone hasn't specifically experienced it themselves. Like thinking about the ways that I know conversations I have had, it's like, oh, well, like, where is that? When has that been like successful? And it's like, okay, well, one, what do you mean by successful? Do you mean making money? Because like that's something else. Like this is, there's just a whole rabbit hole there of what all that means.
Yeah.
I think the interesting part too is like we're talking about how creativity is being squashed deliberately, but not just squashed, it's also being whitewashed like crazy. I mean, all the concepts of classical art and what makes art or not art, and the way that abstract movements have had to claw to be recognized as art, and then the co-opting of abstract movements, and then creating ridiculous high price nonsense. It's like it's constantly being stolen or corrupted.
Or even cheap price nonsense. They take fashion and put it on Shein, take other people's art and people's creativity and replicate it in this like corporate machine. Like even like stuff that they sell at like Target, Walmart, things like that. A lot of those things are designs that they steal from small independent artists and act like it's like their own. And so sometimes it's even to make low cost things just to sell things in mass, too. But yeah, like I think it's really interesting that it's like someone will like value a piece of art at one thing, because it's like some whitewashed person that freaking made it or whatever. But then, people in the Black community have already been making that for like hundreds of years. And then all of a sudden someone wants to buy it now as some freaking luxury, from some luxury company.
Like it's big time in music and dance.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like major.
Yeah. From country music to banjo playing to Elvis Presley and a bunch of his stuff, like so much absolutely whitewashed Black creativity.
Okay, this one's not going to fit. All right. Make some difference. I'm really excited for my bracelet. Oh no!
Uh-oh. I heard
that. This is why you make them. You just keep creating. I fumbled my bracelet, and I'm just gonna remake it.
The excitement just keeps keep going.
But isn't that how the journey is though? Like of life or liberation? Like you fumble.
Yeah, well, and art is meant to be messy too. And I think people are sometimes scared of the messiness that comes with creating because we're taught to not be messy, to not accept the messiness when it's not. Art is never going to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfection in art and creativity, right? So people are also scared of that messiness because that's taught into us from the time we're very young of like you're not supposed to make mistakes. When you're an artist and a creative and you're doing paintings, you're going to make a mistake. You might have to start over. You might have to rip something completely apart and throw it away and completely start a brand new.
Make happy trees.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Happy trees. Yeah. But it's like, yeah, sometimes art has to even be destroyed to start something fresh. And people don't like that. And sometimes I feel like the perfectionism gets in people and makes them so they don't want to participate in anything that's creative or artistic, or they feel they don't do it good enough. Like they don't want to go to a dance class because they feel like they're not going to be good enough, even though it's going to be their first lesson. You know, or they don't want to take an art class because they're like going to be embarrassed that it's not like perfect. And I think, you know, that's another piece of society is this perfectionism that's taught to us for so long. And it's like ingrained in us, like, you know, don't miss a math question, spell the words exactly perfectly, and, you know, make sure you have perfect grammar, which, and like, there's no such thing as perfect grammar. When people talk, we don't speak how we would write something like for an English, you know, assignment. You know, so it's like this perfectionism, you know, takes people away from using art, using creativity. Like I actually got a bad grade on a piece of art when I was in high school just because the teacher didn't like the concept of it. And I was just like, but it's my art. You know, like I'm like, what do you mean? Like I followed the rules and the guidelines in which you gave to us, but because I, you know, used other mediums in it and made it more like a mixed medium sort of thing. You didn't say I couldn't use mixed mediums, you know, and stuff like that. And it's like, I have a mom who's an artist. I just used whatever stuff we had around the house. You know, there was beads around the house. There was, you know, all sorts of fabric around the house. There was all sorts of paints around the house. I just used what I had. And then I got a bad grade because I didn't do it right, you know, and it's just like, what? Like, how do I get an F in art class? You know what I mean? Like, it was very strange. So it was also like, you know, even when people are wanting to do art, there's other people that are criticizing the art and making it out like, well, that's not the art that I want art. And so, yeah, so it's definitely, I think there's a lot of societal things that just try to squash down art. Like, oh, that music isn't really music. You know, that's just noise. You know, I hear that a lot about, you know, like punk music and things like that. Like, oh, it's just noise. It's just loud, you know, and trying to say that it's not creative because the song might only have 3 chords in it. You know, but it's like, but that's the art that we create, you know? So there's all of this of like, well, that's not art, you know, type of stuff, when it's like, well, to me, if somebody created something, it's art. Like, doesn't matter what it is they created, you know?
A lot of my life has been spent helping facilitate play in one way or another. So like I taught juggling for whatever, 20, 25 years. I teach people how to play goofy instruments. Like I have run into a lot of people who have resistance to play. And the biggest thing is, I think, that focus on the outcome. They're attached to an outcome of a product that I can now play the scales. I can now show you a picture that I want to keep. And it's like, the beauty is in the making. Like, set it on. Like, there would be times where it's like, throw it in the fire immediately, regardless how beautiful it is, to help you really get, like, it's not about the thing sometimes.
Yeah, I saw a meme the other day that was being shared by some of my tattoo artist friends where they said, you know, it's not the art in itself that burns them out. It's the having to do the content creation. It's the having to sell themselves. It's the having to make their art into something that's marketable, you know, having to follow like trends in their art rather than just being able to make their art and then find people that would like the art that they already created. And I just think that that's like a really interesting concept too, of like, how can, when you're playing and enjoying something, all of a sudden you burn out from it. There's always some other underlying thing that's causing that burnout, because when I'm playing or doing art or doodling with my kids, I'm not feeling burnt out from that, but that's because I don't have like an outcome. Right. And like you said, Jen, like there's always this, like the outcome has to be a certain way. and the expectation of the outcome. But if I'm just coloring with my kids, I don't have an expectation of the outcome. So of course I'm not going to get burnt out or feel fried by that, nor do I have to market it either. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, turn your hobbies into a business.
Yes.
Not every hobby needs to be a business. Not
Yes.
every hobby needs to be something that you're selling. It can be if you would like it to be, but you can just have hobbies. You can just do creative things, and it doesn't have to be right. It doesn't have to be perfect. And it's part of our liberation journey. It's part of our joy that we have. And the only times I felt myself really restricted from doing creative things is usually if I'm like in a bad situation or I'm really struggling or there's like desperation. I actually feel less creative. But then when I'm like, okay, I'm going to force myself to sit down and actually do some art, spend 20 minutes and do it, all of a sudden I start feeling a lot better. The juices just start flowing. Everything in my life feels better when I'm doing something that is creative or playful. But I did have a lot of resistance to playfulness, even growing up around artists. I still ended up having some resistance to playfulness on and off over the years. But I know tapping into it has always been very helpful for my mental health, spiritual health, emotional health.
I'm sure this like view of kind of having to monetize creativity or to add value to it is related to our work culture and just patriarchal systems in general, right? Like you're only of value if you produce, the amount of work that you produce, what you can contribute and make. And so yeah, we like place value on the things. We're so focused on the outcome rather than the process because we've been taught we're only of value if you produce something.
It's my biggest pet peeve is I'm constantly I create a lot of art, but my parents were both professional artists. Like I grew up around the idea, but I put a lot of value on it. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking for money. But when the first thing people say to me when they see something is, oh my God, you could sell that. It's like, why is that the first thing you want to tell me about this? I hate that. God, I hate that.
There's a few different things that Kimberly you mentioned that made me think of how connected also like access to creativity is like, I mean, access to creativity is just a different thought entirely. Sorry, my brain's all over. But like accessing and disconnecting from our emotions. Whereas like you're talking about the music and people saying, oh, that's too loud or that's too much or it's too whatever. And the way that that's said, like, especially to Black women, especially to women, femmes of color, like the way that creativity and slowing down and digging into the process is ultimately also an act of like touching base with our bodies, like getting into our emotions and actually feeling things. And that's not encouraged or helped in the way our world is right now. It's like a lot of disconnecting, of not feeling, of being smaller and quieter with how you feel.
And the anti-Blackness of that. Acknowledging, and connecting it directly to anti-Blackness. Yeah.
What color eyes do grizzly bears have?
I've been talking to myself this whole time.
I would say brown or black.
Black.
All right, y'all. I found the famous blue beads. We're on my blue bracelet baddies. I should have brought that domain, blue bracelet baddies. Because I was gonna we have a sponsor. Like I still have to make these blue bracelets. Literally. But with the long COVID, I thought I was like, oh, it's an election. I'm gonna just lay in my bed and make bracelets. I was sleeping.
Oh,
The blue bracelets will be called blue bracelet baddies.
that's great.
Leisha, I saw you holding that up. I thought it was an ice pack. I think it was hot, and I was like, fair.
The air conditioner is on. It's so much better now. Oh, there's so many options. Oh, this is the best part.
Yeah, my house doesn't have central air, so because it was built in 1948. So the air conditioner in the window, and then we had to keep all the doors open so like the air spreads. And turn on a bunch of fans.
Yeah, I'm an old farmhouse thing. We don't even have window units.
Yep. Well, not even all of our windows open. like my kitchen window doesn't even open. I'm like, how do I open this? I need some airflow. No, can't open it. Got to turn on fans everywhere. Like when I first moved into this house, I asked my mom, why is there so many fans? She's like, oh, you'll learn. Why there's so many fans?
This is really an art form. Got my little tweezers and my little tray. Oh.
And I'm so proud of myself lately. I have like a whole entire shelf that's just all art supplies. Like I've been gathering so that I can do more creative stuff, because I had noticed over the past few years I just haven't been doing as much as my art. And I set up a table here in my office with my sewing machine so I can start working on doing my patches and patchwork on my clothes and stuff again, and do studying my clothes. I mean, it's a cheap sewing machine. It was only like $25, so we'll see how far it gets me. But you got to start somewhere. And like Brenna was saying, like access to art. Like sometimes people don't really have access to the tools to like do art. Like paints are expensive. And when I was in high school, I used to sneak into the art teacher's class and just steal jugs and put them in my backpack of paint so I could take it home and paint. So I apologize to the school, Skyview High School. I used to steal a lot of paint from you. But that's because I just didn't have any, and my mom didn't want me using her like, nicer like paint that she would do for like paintings and stuff. So I was just like, oh, I can't use my mom's paint. Where am I going to get paint? Oh, well, the school has a bunch of jugs. so I would take a lot of paint. It was only primary colors though, so I had to get real creative with mixing, But I had to do what I had to do,
Yeah.
Okay, now I want to show you my pants because you'll get a kick out of it for.
Oh, they got patches?
Old punk rocks from the 90s, right?
Oh my gosh!
That's so cool!
There's a
I love it.
Did you make
I've
those?
had these pants since I was 11, and I still wear them. All the
What?
time. Yeah. They're held
so
together by
cool.
faith and passion.
That is
I
so
love it. I think that's one reason why I like zombie shows, is because they always have to patch all their clothes together over the years as like apocalypse things. I just love the patches. Like patches is like my favorite thing. I'm always like, ooh, patches. And I got so mad. I went to a festival last summer and they had no booths that sold patches. There was no patches for any of the bands. I was like, where are the patches at? I was so frustrated. But someone told me it's because the people that ran the festival like take a percentage of their sales, so like they didn't think it was worth selling like $1 patches like they normally do at shows, because they would like lose such a high percentage of it anyway, like 30% percentage they had to pay to the festival people or whatever. So I was just like, okay, I understand. But I was very devastated to go to an event that had like 60 bands and not leave with one patch.
Wow.
Yeah, so now I have to buy my patches online. I went to a show yesterday and they had no patches either. Like, why did you guys have patches? We love patches. I can make my own though. I can make stencils and like make them. I used to have to do that because there would be some bands that were like so obscure, like from like the 70s, that aren't around anymore. And so I would have to like just make my own patches. So I'm probably going to get back into that too. I have like my silk screening thing and everything like that to like start making my own patches. So
There's
excited about that.
No crack pot. All right. Blue baddie bracelet number 1.
Wow, that's fast.
That's not done. I mean, I picked them out. I mean,
Oh, good.
the beading process. You have to like put them in this little tray. You don't have to put them on a tray, but I was at the Dollar Tree and it was like bead slip. I love the Dollar Tree. Bracelet.
Yeah, my mom, every time we go to the dollar store, it's just like, oh, this has beads on it. So I'm like, okay, Mom, you have enough beads.
I just
No,
need a
but
YouTube
that's-
channel to go Dollar Tree hopping so people can follow my adventures of what I do. I don't have time for that, but that would be cool.
Yeah.
But like once I discovered how I could add beads and like what I'm doing right now, like I've got those little skull beads here, ivory things at the bottom, when like adding them to my painting stuff, like you really do like your mom, where you start just seeing like a thrift store, like, oh, I could make that, would be great on that painting, or this. It's like, yeah. I love it.
Yeah, my mom's all about that everywhere we go. Even when we go to the Goodwill, she goes to all the fabric, like all the sheets, and she's like, I can make something out of this and this fabric, and I need this fabric for this. And I'm just like, okay, Mom, you got a lot of crafting stuff. I think we should start working on some of the projects that you already have going.
Yeah, that's what all that is behind me. So I feel you. Yeah, I think it's like once I realized, oh, I don't have to make jewelry. I could add this to all my paintings. It was opened up a whole world.
Yep. My mom like buys the jewelry just to take the beads off to put it on other things.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, those who are still watching and joining. We are doing creative play. This is our protest. We're not on the streets right now, so just conversating and making things and being in community.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of people actually showed up in Boise. I'm seeing the Instagram feed.
But you said something, Kimmer, earlier that was so interesting. It's interesting how people are showing up for this, but they weren't showing up for like abortion rights or Black Lives Matter or so it really says a lot about the self-preservation and interests of white people.
Yeah, because when I was out doing BLM protests here in Boise, they would be so small. Like some days it'd be like 20 people. And there was a few that were big, like where there was like 1,000 or so people, but it happened like one time, and it was about a week after George Floyd's death. There was one that was like big that had like 2,000 maybe people. But then after that, it was completely dwindled. It was literally 20 people, 30 people out there every single day. And then I ended up flying to Atlanta because I do like street medic work. And so I was in Atlanta for like 6 weeks doing street medic work there during the BLM protest. And it was a very different type of experience of the people that were out and doing it compared to the people that were in Idaho. But yeah, when like the abortion protests started coming up, there was a few that would have a big turnout, but then it like fizzled out. But then I'm like, yeah, but now like 50% of our OBGYNs have left the state of Idaho. You think you guys would care more because now we're seeing the effects of it. But it turned out to be kind of like the opposite. It's like the numbers just would dwindle after just a few protests. And now we're seeing here in Idaho with these ones, it's been increasing every single time. Like I can see on like the videos and the photos and things like that, like it's been increasing in numbers. And somebody graffitied the local Tesla dealership. So I thought that was pretty interesting because that one is something I was expecting to happen, but you know, it did now. But yeah, it's definitely interesting to see with different types of protest on different topics. Like there was a big immigration rally at the Capitol, and there was maybe a third of the people that we saw that I'm seeing today in the pictures that were at the immigration one to stand up for immigrants last weekend. So in certain topics, we definitely don't see the white people showing up. And one of the protests that I did end up going to a few weeks ago, it was like 75% older white ladies was most of the people that were there. Because people of color don't feel comfortable because no one is standing up for them here in Idaho. So why would they come out? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you don't feel comfortable, like why would you come out? And for me, I just don't feel comfortable because they, you know, think that cops are like their best friends. So I'm not comfortable with that.
Wow. Kimmer, what's a street medic for people who don't know what is a street medic? What do you do?
So street medics do a lot of different things. We like bandage different wounds that people have. We make sure that people are hydrated, like bringing like like tablets that people could put in their water. We bring water to people. So I would always have like a wagon with me that I'd be walking around with, giving people water that are out in the streets doing the work. We would also do things like rinsing people's eyes from like tear gas. That was a big one that was happening in Atlanta. So I actually wore a gas mask literally almost for 6 weeks straight when I was out there doing street medic work. And then, just like any sort of like basic wounds or someone, twist their ankle or something, like we make sure they're able to get to the ambulance safely. Sometimes there's situations where people fall or hurt themselves. But a big part of it was hydration. A lot of people get dehydrated. So and the cops would be doing things like literally like slashing our water bottles on purpose to make sure that people wouldn't be hydrated. They would be slashing our Gatorade bottles. So like people would bring, like go to like Walgreens, buy like a case of Gatorade, drop it off. And then the cops would be like slashing them and stuff like that. So we did a lot of like fundraising, like in some of our underground kind of like networks on Signal, like, hey, like all of our water got slashed. Does anybody have any money so we can go and get some more water? So a lot of it was keeping people hydrated out, especially in the summer, because it was the summer months. It was very hot. So a big piece was hydration. So getting people like the little electrolyte little pouches and things like that to make sure that people were staying hydrated. So hydration was pretty much the biggest thing, except for there was some nights where there was a lot of tear gas. And so we making sure that people would like be able to take off their clothes, have clean clothes for them to put on, like holding sheets around them while they're like changing their clothes to get it off their bodies, because the tear gas, when it's on your clothes, it starts burning your skin really badly. And so helping people remove their clothes and put clean clothes on so that we can get them to an ambulance or to other medics that can support them, or to the hospital. So we did a lot of that out in the streets, and it was very exhausting work. It was like 12 to 16-hour days being out there supporting people. But it was really great because we had like homes that we went to where there was always tons of food that was made for us to like support us and things like that. So there was a lot of community that, I just crashed on a floor at a place, but like there was a lot of community that came together and was like physically supporting us, because we had to like take breaks to get food and refuel again to be able to go back out and stuff like that. But yeah, so I trained as a street medic when I lived in Seattle when I was 18. That was when I first learned what a street medic was. Like I went to my first protest, which was protesting George Bush war in Iraq thing. And it was like the first protest, and I accidentally attended. I was just walking home from work, and I was just like, what is going on? And because we didn't really have protests here in Idaho where I was raised. And someone told me, like, they were like, oh, like, well, what are your interests? Like, what are your skills? How can you help? I said, oh, well, I've kind of always really been into like nursing and things like that. And I was like 18. I was like stuff I was interested in at the time. And they said, oh, well, you can learn to be a street medic. And so then they had classes where we went and helped like the people that were homeless, and we would go and like help them like clean wounds and things they had and stuff like that. And it was all just taught by like other people in the community who went out and helped the homeless people. So that's kind of how we like practice for protest street medic work, was going out to the unhoused community and helping clean wounds and get them medication and ibuprofens and things like that they needed.
Wow, thanks, Cameron. I think that's something that we missed Gina. Gina told us to enjoy the West. Something that for me, when I went to that website and it was just like de-escalate, and I was like, oh, they don't have all the traditional protest tools. Like at a protest you would have a street medic, at a protest you would have, there's just so much that was missing from today.
Every protest that I ever hosted myself, when I was working with an abortion organization, we always made sure we had street medics. We always had hydration booths, things like that. Like, but yeah, on this website, I don't see anything about that on there talking about like, make sure everybody has hydration, like it's going to be a long day. Like, how can people take care of themselves, or where can people get training on street medic stuff and things like that. Like there wasn't really a lot of those resources being posted. And like locally, I haven't seen one post from the local group that's been hosting a lot of the protests saying anything about street medics. But some of my friends who are street medics have been out there, just gone on their own will, and like had their backpacks and have like their medic, badges and things like that on, so people know like, hey, this is a person you could go to if you need some hydration or an ibuprofen or some water or things like that.
Yeah.
I think it speaks to the expectations of like they're really, especially with all the language about acting legal. It's like, okay, we're already in bed with the cops on this one, got it. And so there's, I think, a preciousness about like, but it won't be needed. We won't need street medics. It's not that kind of protest, and that false sense of security that people have of like, if I just follow the rules, it'll be okay. It's like, no.
Yeah, the protest that I was arrested at, I was on the street completely legally protesting. When the cops put me on the ground in front of my own children and arrested me for leading a protest. And I was doing everything legally when that happened to me. So it's completely false if people think like, oh, if we just follow laws, like the cops aren't going to do anything to us. That's not true. At all. Like, you can be doing it as legal as possible, and the cops can still come and arrest people, still come and harass people, still come and hurt people. There can be counter protesters who get violent, which we saw very heavily here in Idaho, especially during the BLM protests. We saw the police on the side of the people who were the instigators. That was a very common theme that we saw all the time. And there were people who were like opposition people, literally physically assaulting people, and the police were not doing anything about it. The police were not arresting them. And so to me, like, the fact that this whole thing is just like, oh yeah, do everything legal, like, it's just like, even if you are doing things legal, you can still be harmed at a protest, whether it's by opposition people, whether it's just by straight dehydration and the regular elements that are happening out there, or whether it's by, police and being brutalized.
I feel like that is yet another example of how, like, it is whitewashed. Because if being in a white body,
keep going.
I can break rules and experience fewer consequences, if any consequences at all, than anybody not in a white body doing anything. It's like that sense of like security and safety on one level for white bodies has been true, and like we're gonna get some, I don't know, some people are going to experience some very rude awakenings when they experience what it is like
What
to
it's
like,
really
okay,
like.
we think, to think that, oh, well, I'm following the rules. Why is this happening? What's going on?
Well, what was really interesting just hearing y'all talk about this, about the protest, I just looked at the parts of the live stream. The one thing that they did do that they got from traditional protest movements is they have an indigenous woman doing land reverence. And then I saw a clip of a Black woman. I'm not sure what she was doing, but I just think it's really, yeah. They have Black thought leaders attending, which this is the move, right? People know a majority of Black folks ain't going, but let's use the palatable Black folks who can normalize Black people's participation in something that Black people have specifically said we ain't participating in this. So I always, when I start to see like how they peddle representation to kind of say this was an inclusive event, this was about all of us. Okay, that's what's up. Then I start thinking about the social justice industrial complex. This is all it's just we're being played and placated all the time, over and over again.
Bread and circus.
And when we question it, those of us who are in the work of liberation, you're crazy. You're trying to divide the movement. It's not a movement, though. It doesn't move. There's like just to be a part of something where there's no space to call things as you see them. You just gotta be palatable. I don't know. Look at us on the last 15-minute stretch, and I'm still working on this blue bracelet. What are y'all working on? Brenna, you look like you're chilling.
I
Like, I'm
I
just
just
chilling.
set mine down. I'll show everyone. This is what I've been working on. I'm holding it upside down. It's eventually going to be a little bad. And my hand is cramping, so I'm taking a break. And I got there's like these little rings for crocheting that are supposed to help with that. And I don't know how to use them, but it's so cute. So I'll end up just playing with it. It's a little dragon. So I'll sit here and play with it. I don't know how to actually use it. So I'll take breaks and pretend like I have a pet dragon on my finger.
That is so cool.
I keep dropping all these dang beads.
Me too, Jen. I'm like trying to use the tweezers.
All right, I'll show you where I'm at. So I drilled the holes,
Oh wow.
and then I added some what's called ladder yarn, and then there's like the little turquoise bead is somewhere. Sorry, I can't see what I'm showing you. And then like this gold thing, and there's the beads and stuff. Yeah, there's like a lapis thing. Anyway, so it's
Beautiful.
early days yet, but
The colors are really pretty.
thank you.
Well, my grizzly bear looks less sad, and he's in his natural environment. Ta-da.
Yeah, and I'm still just working on my stickers. I think I've made like 100 now or so. I got to start counting them. But I got my stickers are still going strong. And I already have people that are been waiting for me to make more stickers. So I got to start sending them some messages and tell them to come over and pick up some stickers. So they can start posting them all over Idaho, making people mad.
I'm still doing bead surgery. To do beading and have long ass nails,
Yeah, it's tough.
it's tough.
Mm-hmm. My mom had like not long nails for like a few days, and it was just like I can't do anything with my crafting, so she took them off.
Yeah, I had to get gloves to cook. I was trying to work. I worked, so I was like, I'm gonna make some burgers. Imagine putting your hands in ground beef with these nails.
Yeah, gosh.
Oh, I'm just imagining the meat getting stuck around the jewels. Like, how do you get it out? You have to like
Yeah.
pick it out.
Yeah.
A toothbrush.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
toothbrush works.
Or a bobby pin.
Yeah.
Or the back of a paper clip. You just get creative. But I
I'm
have to
realizing
work
that
back.
I've spent all this time without my glasses, and now I'm like, oh, why does my eye twitch, Brenna? I have an eye twitch, Brenna. What do I do? Jesus Christ. Sorry, I think I cut you off, Maisha.
No, you're fine.
One of my pairs of glasses got ruined at the show yesterday. Now they're all like crooked.
Oh, tell me it's because you were dancing.
Well, I was dancing and I was real close to the mosh pit, and like my boyfriend was on the side of me that was closest to the mosh pit, you know, to kind of be my little protector a little bit.
Nice.
But someone pushed him really hard, and then he like started falling on me, and then my glasses got bumped. Luckily, I have backup glasses, but it made me mad because those were my expensive ones. I was like, dang it, I should have brought my cheap $12 ones. So they have those cheap ones on Zenny for like $12, so I'm gonna buy a few extra pairs.
My crusty punk rock show glasses. I feel you.
I know. I'm like, yeah, and I can't wear contacts because I'm so much like I don't want to like pull my eyelid down. Like I feel like it'll give me wrinkles if I pull it around my eyes. I'm too vain to wear contacts because I'm scared because that skin is so sensitive around your eyes, you know. So I'm like scared if I pull it down and then put a contact in, it's gonna like give me wrinkles. So it's probably not a real fear or even very valid, but
well, whatever you're doing, you do not show your age. So
yeah, I'm very careful about my skin. My mom did teach me to be very mindful about your skin, and like she always like had like creams and like the oil of Olay and like so I'm very much like you gotta take care of your skin. So that's my reason for not wearing contacts. Though they do look really cool. It'd be cool to have like cool different colors and stuff like that.
Mm.
My eyes are so dark though, I don't even know if the colored ones would work. Like my eyes are almost black. Like on my driver's license, it says black as my eye color. I'm like, my eyes are like dark. So it cracks me up. Someone didn't believe me either. I had to show them my driver's license. It says black. It says my eye color black. It doesn't say brown. It says black. They didn't believe me, but I was like, yeah, it sure does. I mean,
well,
they're
I'm
kind of
picturing
brown.
you at this mosh pit or potential mosh pit, ready to slam dance, and your partner protecting you. I have this impression that you're shorter. Are you shorter?
I'm 5 feet tall. I am very
Yes,
short.
I was worried about that.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
My boyfriend is like 6'2". Well, he says he's 6'2". I think he's 6'3" if he actually just stands up properly. His posture makes him 6'2". He's actually 6'3". But it's kind of funny. Every person that was a man that I dated after my divorce has been over 6'2". Like they're just the only guys that like me. I'm like, short guys don't like me. Like I don't know what. But they've always been very tall. It's just like what ends up happening. And my ex-husband was only like 5'9", so I don't know why like all these tall dudes suddenly like were the ones that wanted to date me. But yeah, so he's tall. He's used to the mosh pits, and so he's kind of a little bit of I'm like, be a protector, be on this side of me, so that I'm not getting beat up too much. So
I went to one mosh pit and almost died, and so I'm good. I've had my mosh pit time. I was 18 and I was the front row of Corn. And I did not know what I was in for, and it was in Manhattan, and this large man just started pushing all the ladies and I almost fell over the gate.
Yeah.
And I'm good. I'm
done.
Well,
being in the front at big concerts really sucks because people will crowd surf from behind you and then they hit you in the back of the head, and it can become pretty dangerous. Luckily yesterday there was only like one person I saw crowd surf, and it was like a 10-year-old kid. Like their family wanted to like give them the experience of crowd surfing, which was cool. I mean, it was cute. They like came up to my boyfriend and asked my boyfriend like help lift them, because my boyfriend's all tall, So yeah. So
and it's like the punk rockers are fiercely protective of the
of the young community. Oh yeah, I know. They'll spread out the whole mosh pit just so that like the kids like mosh in the middle, Yeah, it's really they're very protective over.
I recently felt really old because I went to an emo night, like one of those things where they play like old, like emo 2009 music. And I was like, yes, like me and my friend and I were so excited. And we go and whatever, rocking out and everything. And then at one point someone tried to start a mosh pit. And then literally everyone just went, oh no. Like no. People literally were like, no. Like my knees, no. Like we all just like dispersed. And it was so sad. I was like, guys, like it was very upsetting.
Yeah, I'm at a lot of shows with a lot of mosh pits. So one of the reasons why like I want to make more money is just so I can go to more concerts. Like that's like the primary goal of my life, is to go to as many concerts and festivals as humanly possible. So I used to book shows, so that was something I used to do. People used to always ask me like, oh, are you in a band? And be like, no, I'm the promoter.
That's awesome.
I love promoting events. Promoting events, booking events, hosting events. I love all that.
Oh, I just realized that these are glass beads. I'm like, why is this taking me so long?
Ooh.
Because they're glass. Oh, these are my blue baddies.
That looks really good.
I love that pattern.
Yeah. Blue baddies. If you'd like to order your blue baddies, right in the DMs. You'll get 2 for $25 because you see the labor I'm putting in this with these nails. 2 for $25. And they're made of glass. They're glass, yeah. No, this is fun.
Does anybody else have this problem where it's like, I hate everything I make until I look at it the next day? And then I'm like, yeah, that's actually pretty cool. Now I'm like, oh, I'm having regret. Like, it isn't working. And I'm like, I think I need to let it sit. Come back to it.
Yeah, that happens to me. But then sometimes I start poking at it again.
Well, I will. I definitely will. I just think, I need to let it. There's something I'm trying to force here, and I need to slow down.
No, dogs, get away from my stickers. The dogs keep trying to step on my stickers. Get out of here. They're just like looking at me like, Mama. They're so clingy. My clingy dogs.
How many do you have?
2. We have a Saint Bernard and a pit bull.
Oh,
The Saint Bernard is an old grandpa. He's a foster.
You want another one?
Do I want another one?
2 more?
If I had a bigger house, I would get more. And a better fenced yard, I would get more. I would probably have like 5 dogs. My sister has 5. And she runs a rescue. So
oh, that's so cool.
we're very much dog people over here. Yeah, if I had a bigger house, I would have more dogs. But the Saint Bernard, he takes up half the house himself. So
Oh my God.
Do you keep your dogs inside or do your dogs go outside?
they go outside for a little bits of time, but they're mostly indoor dogs. It's too cold in the winter to let them out too long. The Saint Bernard, he liked it, but the pit bull, their fur is like so short. Like they're like, let me in. Like, yeah, pit bulls do not like going outside in the snow. They like he literally goes out, goes to the bathroom, comes straight back to the door, and it's like, let me in. So yeah, pit bulls are not very good for winter outside. They love the summer outside though. But I gotta buy a cooling mat for my Saint Bernard. Like they have these ones you plug it in and it keeps it cool, so then he can lay on it when he's outside, and it keeps him cool. Yeah, he needs a cooling mat. He's already overheating in this house, and I'm like, it hasn't even became the summer yet. You're already like overheating. He's like panting. I'm like, it's not even hot in here. But according to him, he's burning up because he's so furry. I have to vacuum my bedroom every single day because they get so much fur on the floor.
Man, tell me about the cleaning the dogs every day.
Yeah, I understand why my sister has one of those like Roombas that vacuums every single day, because like I don't know how her house would be clean. Like her downstairs, they just ripped out all the carpet and put like hard flooring, like that vinyl flooring, because they're just like you can't keep it clean. It's easier to just sweep every day than it is to try to vacuum it and everything. She has a house cleaner that comes to her house just to clean slobber off the walls. Because she has 4 saints and they drool a lot, and especially when they shake their head like after they eat and stuff like that or drink. And but yeah, she has a maid that comes specifically like once a month just to clean the walls.
Wow.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
I pay people to clean up the poop outside. I'm like, it's only $18 a week. Totally worth it. But if I ever have to let them go, then I'll pay my son $18 a week and he can do it. Saint Bernard poop is very big. Big old dog. And then I found out I was overfeeding him. Like I asked my sister, because he was like underweight when we first got him, because he's a foster, right? And then I started feeding him, and then I was like, he's gained weight. Okay, he's looking good. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, wait, that's too much weight. Like now he's just like, he's a big boy. like something's wrong. And so then I messaged my sister. I'm like, how many cups am I supposed to feed him? I was feeding him like 2 extra cups a day more than what he needs. I was just like, oh, no wonder you're getting chubby. So it's not good for big dogs to be overweight because their hips are so bad already. So now he's on his proper diet. But I didn't realize I was overfeeding him. I'm sure he loved it.
Spoiled. They get homemade food.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to keep it in the recommendations.
Yeah.
Because food's expensive.
Yeah, mine get homemade food from time to time. They eat like an organic blend that's salmon and sweet potato. But if I cook them food, I usually buy, like they sell like locally, like these people, they sell dried venison. So then I use that, and then I like rehydrate it and cook and make that for them. And then I like cook sweet potatoes, and they eat peas and broccoli. They love that. Peas and broccoli, that's like some of their favorite food. I'll just get a frozen bag of peas and pour it in their bowl, and they'll just chomp it for hours.
Have you ever gave them pumpkin?
Oh yeah, they love pumpkin too. Yeah.
Oh, they love pumpkin.
Yeah.
Pumpkin, sweet potatoes, spinach.
Spinach, yeah, they love all that stuff.
Avocado.
Yeah, I would cook.
Talking about all this.
Oh yeah, avocado, they love it.
Sounds like stuff I would eat.
Yeah, I've always fed my dogs vegetables ever since I got them.
Don't ask me if I've ever given my dogs chicken and waffles. It's not your business. I have. Maybe I have gave my dogs chicken and waffles.
Yeah, my dogs have eat pretty much any people food.
Yeah.
As long as it's not too salty, because saltiness isn't good for them.
Yeah.
They can't have a lot of sodium.
Hey y'all for joining in. This is our creative protest. We're just creating things. This is Blue Batty is coming together really nicely. I love it. It feels too, it's like,
It's
you know,
really
sometimes we make with Naima, we make the Taylor Swift kind of plastic, but these glass feel like next level.
You're fancy.
I know. Shout out to our corporate sponsor. Can't say your name. Someone sponsored this. And I want to make sure that I get them done. These are really pretty. Now we have orange, purple, yellow, and pink. So you always know what I'm going to do with that.
Those sound familiar.
Those sound familiar. Feel your way forward. Thanks for hanging out, y'all, and being a virtual space to create.
This has been very nice.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I would not do it. I would do just that white thing and just keep hammering. It's like, it's good. It's good to sit down and just be together and make an art. And that it's not a distraction from the movement. It adds to the movement.
Yeah. It gives you more, it gives me more energy.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that. Oh, I'm hungry.
It's that time though. Thank y'all for hanging out. Thank y'all for watching. I hope everyone has a great rest of your weekend. And if you are protesting, integrate, go drink you some water and go have fun.
Yeah.
See y'all later.
Be safe, everybody.